I want to thank everybody for coming out today. We're really excited to be putting on this forum to hear from new voices and to keep the momentum moving forward to get some new blood into City Hall. Okay, our next candidate, I've known her for damn near 20 years when she was a teacher at my kids' elementary school. She was the farmer on campus. And now here she is running for District 1. Everybody, here's Daria Wrubel.
Hi everyone. Anyone need a stretch break? I feel like this is quite a marathon you're all engaging in. So my name is Daria Wrubel. I was born and raised in Berkeley. And thank you. Oh, that is much louder. Thank you for that hint. I was born and raised in Berkeley, and I've always loved this city. When Trump got reinaugurated, something awoke in me that had been a little bit dormant since my union activist days, because I have a National Park Service employee husband and a trans daughter. So the attacks that the Trump regime was making on federal workers and on trans people really hit home, literally. I was managing their anxiety and their upset every day. And as a mental health professional, I have the skills to do that, but I didn't want to have to do it. So that was sort of the planting of the seed. And then when the District 1 current council member, Kesarwani, started making proposals for expanded police powers and quadrupling mass surveillance budgets, I decided that was the place where I could contribute, where I could stand against authoritarian overreach, against collaboration with that kind of regime, and I could make a positive difference for my community. So that's why I entered the race, and I'm excited to be here and to tell you more and answer your questions.
Awesome. Yeah. What is your platform?
So I am running on a both-and platform. So I don't think that there have been some false dialectics that have been proposed in the city that we have to choose between affordable housing and tenant protections, that we have to choose between civil liberties and public safety, that we have to choose between paved streets and social services. I don't think we need to choose. I think we can have it all. We just need to find the right compromises. We need to find our priorities deep within each of those issues to find what is really important. So for example, we do need, like the Harrison Street encampment is not a safe place for the residents or the neighbors. So we need to find an alternative, but that alternative has to include permanent supportive housing for those residents and a place where they can relocate together as a community, because they are a community, they are a neighborhood. That is a both-and solution, where we are giving some relief to the businesses in that neighborhood who feel that their livelihoods are being threatened, and to the residents who have a right to housing, as all humans do.
How would you campaign?
This is part of campaigning, meeting people, speaking in public, knocking on doors, raising money. I am doing public financing, so it's all small contributions. I have been doing an average of 3 campaign events every day this month so far. And I'm a little exhausted, but I'm still going. So that's how I'm campaigning.
And who's endorsed?
I'm very proud to be endorsed by our Alameda County Supervisor, Nikki Fortunata Bass, by our Alameda County Board of Education Director, Ana Vasudeo, by former District 1 City Council member, Linda Mayo, by the Mayor's Chief of Staff and former School Board President, Julie Sinai, by former Council Member Kate Harrison, who's in the room here. Thank you, Kate. Those are, I have lots of endorsements, but those are some of the ones I'm most proud of.
Would you like like to make a closing statement?
I'd like to take questions first. And I see a couple hands here and then Andrea.
Go ahead.
What experience do you have in the city of Berkeley?
Yeah, so I worked on the Berkeley versus Big Soda campaign, and I was personally motivated by that because I had been laid off as a garden teacher because of the loss of federal funding. So that was part of the solution, is to find alternative funding sources. I was also in that same transition when I was laid off as a garden teacher. All the garden and cooking teachers were laid off in the district. I took that opportunity to become a full-time union organizer with the Berkeley Council of Classified Employees, yes, BCCE, Local 6192. So that was another formative experience for me. You know, one of my proudest moments in that was we had circulated a petition for our contract demands, and I cut and pasted all the signatures together into a long scroll, and I stood up at the podium and I unrolled my scroll, and it rolled all the way across the floor and made this satisfying thunk against the dais that all the school board directors were sitting behind. And yeah, that was a very proud moment. So I also run a Bay Resistance pod, and I coordinate the foot patrols for Berkeley High School to provide community outreach and education and protection around immigrant rights. And I'm on the Berkeley City Sanctuary City Task Force. Oh, I promised Andrea the next question. And then I'll come back to you.
It's all right. Every one of the people who serves on the current city council campaigned on having a 24/7 emergency, a non-police emergency response. I'm curious, what's your analysis about why we don't have a 24/7 alternative to police?
I mean, my best analysis is everything that costs money requires sacrifice, and they didn't want to make the sacrifice. And I'm not prepared to make a promise that I don't know if I can keep, but I'm going to look into it.
Awesome.
So the anti-eviction mapping report was what I was referring to, and it showed that as we are doing upzoning, it is causing a lot of our longtime residents to be pushed out. What would you do to stop private equity and this gentrification from further occurring?
There's absolutely no reason private equity should be in the rental market, period. And I certainly do everything I can to make that policy, enforceable policy in the city of Berkeley. I also think, you know, within Elmwood, the compromise proposal of identifying just 3 parcels, 1 parcel per block for upzoning, and none of those parcels are currently residential. None of them have any residential units in them. Like that sort of solution can go a long way in preventing displacement. It also prevents, you know, disruption to business, to the existing small businesses in that corridor. So I think we need to be looking at things like that.
I would like to ask some of the questions we've asked other candidates. Do you support or oppose loss of parking and bike lanes on Hopkins?
So as I spoke at the city council meeting, I am in support of protected bike lanes because they do save lives. I think exploring parallel pathways like Ada Street, which can also preserve parking, is a better solution. And I think that introducing parking controls in Hopkins, right now there's no timed parking, there's no parking. I mean, I do believe that can improve some of the parking issues in that neighborhood. So, you know, this is a thorny one because people have very strong opinions on both sides. And my goal is to work towards those compromises, to work towards something that gives everybody part of what they are looking for and that preserves, you know, that puts public safety at the forefront of decision making.
And what do you think about upzoning and high rises on the 3 corridors, Solano Avenue, North Shattuck, and the Elmwood?
Yeah, so I think I answered this a little bit already. I am in favor of urban density. I am in favor of relieving pressure on urban sprawl by increasing density in urban centers. And I think it needs to be done in a way that helps preserve architectural character, helps preserve existing housing and existing businesses. So I think the idea of choosing just the largest parcels and doing like a sort of percentage of lots that are eligible for upzoning is way better than a blanket upzoning policy. I also think if we're going to be upzoning, like if you're going to be tearing down 10 buildings in a neighborhood to create higher density housing, one of those 10 parcels could become a public park that's available for everyone. So we need to be doing that sort of urban planning so that we're also building our commons, building our resources for the whole community.
And do you support or oppose the use of flock for Berkeley police? And what do you support regarding the police accountability board?
I have a dump flock silkscreen on my backpack. I do not support flock or any sort of mass surveillance or any sort of warrantless searches anywhere in the city or frankly the county or frankly the country. So that is a hard line for me, and you can count on me to reflect that in all of my votes. I think the Police Accountability Board was voted in by the people, and we deserve to get what we asked for. It only stretches this far.
I think it was the city manager that I heard say, I think even the city manager said that without supporting a wealth tax in the whole country and the state, things are really not going to change. So what would you do to help that happen? I mean, can the city council members do something?
I think Zoran Mamdani has proven that city governments can do things like pass second home taxes. I think that would be a beautiful thing to pass in Berkeley. I think a wealth tax absolutely is appropriate, and the fact that our tax law is written in support of the wealthy instead of the average is a problem. I can't change the tax code, but I can pass revenue-raising measures that focus on wealth.
Liz?
So can you talk a little bit about the fact that the apartment buildings that are being built are not really designed for families?
Yeah, I mean, I think the city needs to enforce the affordable housing provisions that we do have, and needs to leverage any county, state, local monies that we can access to increase the amount of affordable housing. I mean, some of the apartments being built are 3, 4, and 5 bedrooms. Not a lot of them, not enough of them. Well, a lot of the ones downtown for sure are for students, but a lot of why they are for students is because the city has only allowed them to be built so far in downtown, where the students are located. So I think we have to, in order to create more housing for families, we have to create more housing. And we can incentivize increased family housing, but we can't, we can incentivize it, and I think we should.
Are you for rent control?
Yes, I'm also for the repeal of Costa-Hawkins and the Ellis Act.
So the Berkeley City Council continues to decrease the in lieu fee that developers pay, and they put this money in a pot, and so instead of forcing the developers to build those affordable units in the buildings themselves. So what is your stance on that, and would you increase the in lieu fee?
There's a fine line, right? Because if we increase the in lieu fees too much, that disincentivizes construction. So I think there's room to increase the in lieu fees, but it has to be done with a mind to also keeping that development affordable enough for contractors to be willing to do that. And absolutely, you know, the in lieu fees do not cover the cost of constructing the units that would otherwise be built. So it would be much better to have the developers build them in the first place.
Do you think we have a housing crisis or an affordability crisis? Right now, the city of Berkeley has lots of one-bedroom and studios that are empty. Would you support a survey of all housing in Berkeley to find out where we're at and to find out what we actually need? Because the population of California is in fact declining or static right now.
I would absolutely support a survey. My understanding is that surveys have already been done and the vacancy rate is actually quite low. I would love to look at some numbers, but I do think a survey is a wonderful idea. And there was another part of your question that I've forgotten.
Do we have an affordability?
Oh, we have an affordability crisis. I think we have an affordability crisis. I think housing, undersupply of housing is part of what creates an affordability crisis, but that's the primary crisis. Maybe I'm going to go to you and then you.
Okay. In West Berkeley, all the redevelopment has failed. The redevelopment in West Berkeley has failed to provide mixed use. None of this, any on Cedar, down by Bing's, those are apartments now. There's one business. Down there, nobody. It's a failure. If you go down below, down to Aquatic and those buildings, where's the retail? They're salons, or where's the retail? Why isn't the city addressing that? Anyway, 30 seconds for that.
So the question was about redevelopment and why there aren't businesses in these new redevelopments, why they have not been successful. I am in favor of a commercial vacancy tax, both to incentivize the filling of those spaces and reduce blight, but also as a revenue-raising measure. So that is part of what I would propose as a solution for that.
Chris, you're next.
Sorry, this is as far as it goes, sorry.
If you were elected, would you support a charter amendment to the Berkeley laws that would allow for random selection of our council people as the groups do?
That's the first time I'm hearing that, so I'd have to do a little more research.
Thank you. I am a council CD1 resident, and we've had Rasha Kesarwani for 8 years. And I would really like to know, what I've seen on your website is housing, which sounds very familiar with what she and the majority on the council have said, which is, as you've heard today, is not achieving the goals of affordable housing in Berkeley. And so what I'd like to know from you is, can you state how you differentiate yourself from the policies that Rasha Kesarwani and the majority in the council have been supporting in this city for the last 8 years?
Thank you. It is a great question because it gives me an opening to talk about what makes me different. The question is what distinguishes me from Rashi.
With regard to housing.
Particularly in regards to a pro-housing platform. I think, one major difference is that I am not just pro-housing, I'm also pro-tenant. I grew up in a rent-controlled apartment in Berkeley. I grew up in a family with a single mom who, struggled at times to have enough food on the table to have our basic needs met. So I know what it means to try and survive in this city without sufficient resources. And I feel committed to working on those issues. I grew up in Berkeley and was proud to be from a place that everybody wanted to move to. And I feel like in the last 10 or 20 years, it's moved much more to a place that no one can afford to stay in. And that is the basic problem that I want to solve. I think the other thing that distinguishes me from Rashi is that I want to be available to constituents. I want to actually listen. I want to actually be responsive, and I want to actually be compassionate. She's asking about a resolution.
Yeah. Oh, she's been asking about the other.
Do you support the city council making resolutions regarding national and international policy?
I think when the city of Berkeley has an opportunity to influence national and international policy, we have an obligation to take that opportunity. And I have been told that I now only have 60 seconds for a final statement. I can't take any more questions. I'm sorry. It's delightful, really, to be in a room full of such passionate, caring people, and to know that this many people want a better future for Berkeley and want to solve affordability and want a compassionate city that stands up for human rights and civil liberties. So I'm very encouraged by the turnout here today to know that this is this is a city that is going to make good choices for our future together, and I hope to be part of that. Thank you for your time.